Hi, my name's Lawrence and I make ridiculous miniatures. Once a month I share people's work in a thing called Share the Hobby Love over on Instagram, and I thought this month I would try showing it off on here as well. I've been trying to make YouTube videos for some time and getting stressed about it and worried that they're not exactly perfect, so this is going to give me like tons of practice in making stuff. So let's see how it goes. So we're going to start off with Meister Squid. This is my one of my absolute favourite models. The piece of work is spectacular. I think it really reminds me of like Joseph Cornell's art, and it's got something like haunting and eerie about it, which is kind of the classic brilliant way of making 28 miniatures. We've got Grand Legion of the Dead and his spectacular Marines. I think there's something really lovely about the green ombre almost to the armor, as well as the contrast of the white helmets. They're probably some of the best 30k Marines that I've seen. I love the scheme. Great work. This is a duo, so it's Noble Factotum and Chaos Manufactorum. Now these guys have like an incredible collection of tanks. I think it's nearly 30 now, and each of the tanks, apart from being beautifully painted, also has this wonderful free-handed logo on it from different animals to weird fish to bizarre like crabs, and I love every single one of them, and this is the latest and most like hysterical version. We then have Oath Shield. This is a 30k Marine. Looks really cool, like lovely sort of use of chains on him. Really like how stark the paint job is and just how brutal he looks. Cyborg Catgirl, a very cool name, and a very cool Chaos Titan squitching up a knight. Really clever use of like a miniature knight on here. I love this kitbash. Scions of Guilliman, so a thing of my own heart. I love the composition in this photo. I think he's really captured that classic Warhammer diorama, the sort of thing that you saw in White Dwarf, you're obsessed about, and it's really quite difficult to capture yourself. Really superb work here. Like obviously his Marines are beautiful, his friends Tyranids are fantastic as well, and I really like kind of capturing the classic moments in Warhammer, so this is top for me. Plastic Sapiens, beautiful work on here. My eyes don't work that well. I would need not only a magnifying glass, but probably a microscope to paint this well, and you know, you can really see the attention to detail and like how much effort and like skill has gone into this. So yeah, magnificent. And like I'm a big fan of the macro photography as well. Perception Driven Reality has incredible horde of Black Templars. These are some of just a huge brutal crusade worth of them. Worth checking out his page and seeing all of the rest of them. Joe Jopsart. Yeah, I'm sure, like I never said it out loud before, so I should probably check that. This is absolutely stunning. You could tell that his work is really influenced by Moebius. Has that like French 70s science fiction vibe to it, and yeah, brilliant. Like it's almost like cell shaded as well in parts, and that is just a fantastic paint job. Here's a lovely riser flavored caul. It's like I love the caul model itself. It's absolutely beautiful, and his use of kind of like the riser colors have just kind of elevated it a little bit from the standard caul we see. Beautiful model, beautifully painted. Ed Paint Stuff. I love this model specifically because of the kitbash of the old man with his beautiful moustache. I love a bit of facial hair, and I think that sort of moustache works so well with that kind of model. It gives it so much personality, and I'm sure it's incredibly satisfying when you snipe any kind of character with him in a game. This was actually nominated from another guy. This is B. Sonderson's, and it is a squig hog eating a Marine. Really lovely captured the sort of like moment, and yeah, it looks fantastic. It's great fun. I really want one of these models, so yeah, it's inspired me to definitely make something that's that even I hope approaches that level of fun. Med Woodwork. Little bit of urinary because it is a pen rather than some models. Really beautifully made pen. This guy hand makes all of these like fantastic things. If you need a fancy pen, he doesn't sponsor me. I'd love to be sponsored. Please go and have a look at his work. Morose Miniatures is my favourite modeler, I think, full stop. All of his models capture something truly amazing about how we can make models and what we can do with them. Something that I really love about this piece is how it just blends in naturally to the background, and there's a lovely video of a horse coming up to it and seeing what he's doing as well. I think it really inspired me to use an incredible amount of different textures on your work to age it, to make and tell a story through what the model looks like, rather than necessarily having to create too much of a backstory to it. So each of his models, there's usually very little information. There might be a small poem or a small sort of sentence around it, but it creates so much mood and story, and I absolutely love his work. So yeah, please check it out. Grimdark Scott here with I can't remember what this model is called. I think it's from the Cursed City set. It's super cool. I think use of color here, how the red and orange and like yellow highlights just make this lovely metallic texture. I'd really like to try it myself. I've saved this and I'm putting it in forward to future work because it's cool as F. So this guy was called the Grand Annulus for ages, and now he's called the Half Forge. He's an absolutely lovely bloke, and here is his avatar of Kegarak. Now I've made an avatar of Kegarak as well. I think his is better. You can fight me on this, but I absolutely love it. I think there's something about the dripping faces, the mask kind of like forming into bits of wood and all this gross stuff. And yeah, very clever, super inspired, and rare that we see sort of models that are large lengthways, especially kind of like Titanic models. You tend to kind of build upwards, and I really like how this like uses up space. Anima Omnisire, I think I got that right. Super cool model, really fun, great use of different parts to make something really flavorful, and has a great deal of character around it. I'd love to hear more about this. Apparently there's some fluff going on, which I'm waiting on with bated breath, but really nice indication of like how you can make small kit bashes super interesting and flavorful without having to use, you know, all of the space and all the bits and all the money in the world. This guy is a huge inspiration from my own work, and like a lovely guy as well. He's called Imperious Lost, or Crab Rangoon. Don't know where that's from. His work is very clever. So use of kind of hobby materials, like getting around, like finding interesting greebling bits. Fascinating. So one of the best tips that he ever gave me was to use cake molds, like Baroque ones, to create so kind of like bits of kind of armor or scenery, and it really helps, and it's very clever. So this is a sort of Empire steam tank times a knight. It is super cool. It's massively chunky. Follow his work because you will find some like genius ideas. High Fleet Varanus. Tyranny is always a bit of a funny one because I feel like it's one of the most interesting lore armies. You could literally make anything. There's no, you know, they could just eat something, need to adapt, change completely. Every single model could be just a huge different variety of things. I think people get really stuck because you need so many of them. So you know, to kit bash an entire army is a bit of a nightmare. But these big gribbly creatures, there's so much scope you can do with them. And something like this, it just looks sensational. Like it really adds that kind of creepy, eldritch, bizarre shadow in the warp nightmare. Absolutely love it, mate. The Colour Wheel painter, who very kindly sent me some bits recently, he's a lovely bloke, and I really like this ancient Slann. Slann is some of my favourite in-lore universe ridiculous things. Who doesn't love an old dead psychic toad? This is a cracking model. Great use of crystals on the base to kind of like elevate it, and again, it's super cool when people take pictures of models outside and it actually like blends into the background. Cracking, mate. Miniature Mister here has done a classic paint job, Crimson Fist, but on very model, like using a bit of Tor Garradon, I think, and a bit of Tor Garradon, or it might just be a normal captain in Gravis armor. I'm not sure. I'm not big up on Space Brains. Epic looking model, super cool. Love it. Love the paint job, nice and clear, crisp and clear. Don't see enough Crimson Fists. Want to see more. Humble Bricoleur really doesn't need to be humble. Doesn't need any sort of level of humbleness at all. His models are cool. This thing, massive, amazing green stuff work on there. I really don't like using green stuff. I find it really difficult because I don't have any patience. And so something like this, where he's individually sculpted the beard, hair, the arm, you know, there's so much extra detail on here through green stuff work, which is phenomenal. I love chaos. I like the idea of it. I like it in lore. Well, you know, when it does all right stuff and is horrible and gribbly and doesn't just get completely curb stomped by everyone. You get the idea of corruption, of change, of the sort of endless mutagenic nature of it, the fact that it's always kind of like evolving and taking over things and tricking them and all this, the greatness. And then you get the models and their 90s edgelords. I've got spikes and I kill things, really scary. And for me, that doesn't necessarily match up that well, and I've never been particularly interested in the chaos models. So to see mutant modifiers work, where he's really captured the oddity, the nature of change, the bizarreness of it, how everyday objects can come to life, various different organic pieces. Every single model here is gold. He's got more stuff, which is even better. It's so difficult to choose from his work. It's really, I would look at it in terms of something that gives me a huge amount of inspiration to maybe make some chaos models in the future, because making models like that, it just pushes kind of like modeling boundaries, and it's amazing. I love it. If you're ever feeling blue and you really, really need cheering up, I can recommend one single account for you, which is Susanna Polixena. Now, if you've seen her stuff, you already know what I'm on about. It is basically Primarchs as guinea pigs. If you don't like the sound of that, don't check her stuff out. You have no soul. It's totally fine by me. I don't care if you've got no soul. It is so funny. Her artwork is beautiful. This is a lovely moment where Sanguinea Pig is not Sanguinea Pig, the wrong one. Guinea Pig. The names really confuse me. Is basically consoling Dante after all the Tyranids and the fall of Baal. Amazing, hysterical, love it. Go and see it if you're feeling bad on it, and you just want some pure crazy sunshine. Go and check it out. Back to some strong green stuff work again, or like just sculpting work. If you don't own a Squiggoth, why not sculpt your own? Something that I've never personally thought, but I can see that over 30 and 40k in 40 has really kind of like nailed that. It's going to be super cool. I can't wait to see how he comes up with the Palanquin, and yeah, it's going to be amazing. Casual army painter, really cool idea. There aren't enough unknown races in 40k and people making models based on them. I love this idea that you've got a kind of blend of technology of like lizard men and, you know, servo skulls, like old school bolters. More of this would be absolutely fantastic. Dad and Lad is the most wholesome family, like hobby gang that I've ever come across. Always hugely enjoy interacting with them. Love watching their stuff, and I think you can see from this who didn't want a dad who basically made like dreams come true. Dad being like, oh, why not let's create a dinosaur space marine army when you're like 6. Pretty cool. I think that's very cool. Lovely bloke. Love their work, and yeah, can't wait to see more in the future, because Brontosauruses, yeah, it's good stuff. Pure hobby joy. I'm going to massacre my friend's name. Elficula. He is the slowest painter of anyone that I met, but it is 100% worth it when the finished models are of this caliber. Stunning, like absolutely gorgeous. I'd love to see it in real life, because I think it's actually probably... I'm sure it is better in real life as well. Amazing paintwork, lovely kit bashing, just beautiful work on his Exodite Wraith God, some Wraith Blade, Wraith Seer, Wraith Thing, Wraith Exodite Wraith. Love it, absolutely love it. Brut. Chaos Demon, that interesting bit about Chaos, use weird stuff, use the wildest stuff. I think it's having that head on this model really nails it. Just make it as weird as possible. Super cool. 18th Vostroyan, really interesting kit bashed army. Every single model is unique. He's got some really amazing and interesting ideas about walking tanks and walking command tanks. All of it has like stories around it as well, which makes following the count great fun. I really like this sort of flea cavalry, I think I'm going to call them. Very cool. I know this is the first model this guy has painted since he got back into the hobby. This is Tyler Wiltoon. I really love it. I love the fact I like green. Distressed armor isn't necessarily the first thing you think of when you think of distressed armor, but I think he's absolutely nailed it. There's something like almost petrol-y about the texture and color in it, which adds on to that dark, like ancient thing. I'm really excited to see what this guy does next. Battle Sister Nina doing Yadranza. GW, please stop naming things with Y at the beginning. Just, I don't want you to do it anymore. Never again. Everything should be, just use all the other letters of the alphabet apart from possibly X. Cracking work. Love the edge highlighting. Absolutely beautiful blue, like light blue on the armor to just give it that and make it that extra, like pop that extra amount. Perfect level of contrast on the dark and light sections of the wings. Beautiful, 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 beautiful model. Right, this is Michael F. Lippert's chainsaw arms. If I could come back as some sort of AdMech monstrosity, this is 100% the AdMech monstrosity that I would be. Who wouldn't love 2 extendable bendy chainsaw arms that you could just fling about yourself? You could cut down 2 trees at a time. You could cut down 10 enemies at a time. You wouldn't be able to do anything else, but you wouldn't need anything else because you've got chainsaws as arms and kind of like pipes / springs as a leg. So I imagine this kind of bounces along, or possibly hovers. I think hovers might be slightly creepier. Yeah, got some anti-grav tech. Those are just like cables leaking out of its body. It's hovering along the ground, arms waving around like some sort of crazy like balloon man. Fired murder bot thing. Son of Sang. Absolutely love a giant base. More impractical the better. This looks pretty impractical to me. I'm not sure where the actual wing is from. It looks like some sort of imperial thing. Maybe a storm raven. It looks too small to be too big to be a storm raven. Not even sure what the tower is. I think coal something. Not very good on my tower. Just shoot all of them. That's the plan. A very, very cool model and like beautiful paint job. Love the purple armor. Like there should be more purple armor in Tau. Parsifal Copt Classic, the OG Avatar, the best model that I had when I was 9. Love him to bits. Still got him somewhere turned into a statue. I think this one particularly, the gems caught my eye. They're absolutely on point. Have that real shiny texture like that I could never ever achieve. So like I'd love to give it a go, but you know, it is classic. It's super annoying to put together. The arms always fall off. But a beautiful, beautiful model and really lovely to see the old thing. Aiden's Minis. This is, I'm no idea where this is from. It might just be like a pure kitbash like / creation. Super cool. Love how alien and like odd it is. Just gives it some sort of, it wants to give you a hug, but also wants to just crush every single part of you and eat all of the marrow that comes out. I think that's the best way of describing it. So, something that you would not want to see anywhere where it was dark. Ark Hayden. This is the first model he posted, which is absolutely bananas. Phenomenal kitbash, super cool, looks expensive as well. Sometimes like you look at parts that maybe people have made kitbashes out of and you're like, oh my god, like wow, I would love to be able to, you know, kitbash some Forge World stuff. I think it is that, but I'm not 100% sure. Great model, every single part of it is just pure gold. Zero Fant. Really interesting this, just a scenic base. Beautiful colours on it, really captured like ancient lichen and ruined stone. Like you could just imagine kind of water dripping down it, things collecting around it. Very, very clever and like beautifully, beautifully done. I think like the attention to detail on something like that is just the like transitions from brown to green to yellow. It's beautiful. I wish I could paint that well one day. Miniature steel, yeah. Miniature steel. Lovely small diorama, capturing like just like a classic Warhammer moment. The guard about to all die. Even if they start getting the heavy bolters off, you know that there are another 500,000 gaunts just directly behind them, about to like pile in on them. Really fun. This I think also shows sometimes like the slight difficulty in taking pictures of dioramas because trying to get all the focus in. He's got some other pictures where they're very much focused on each individual section, and that shows it off a little bit better. I wanted to get this one because it's got all of the models in at once. It's really sometimes very challenging to get everything in the whole thing, which is something that I'm going to be talking about a lot more in the future. Miniature Minis. Great use of Tau here. I think it's a custom model that a third party has made. Super cool, really interesting, really lent into the Gundam aspect of it, which I think always kind of captures Tau the best, but then given it quite a grim dark paint job as well. So you've got the roboticness of it, but at the same time quite grim, quite dark, great fun. Paintos paints Eldar how I would like to paint if I could paint that well. So this is something that annoys me, that I can't paint that that kind of perfect, crisp, beautiful Eldar armor. This guy absolutely nails it, as well as being really good at kit bashing. so he's got the full package. I think this shows off the like wonderful nature of the new Eldar range. The models are fantastic. They're very malleable to change positions and like how they work. And I think this is one of the like, super exciting kit bashes I've seen of it. He's got some more on the way. They're as good, if not even better. I cannot wait to see more. Cathar the Great. This is one of my single favourite models, full stop. It's just alien, eerie, bizarre. Something about the kind of cross-shaped skull head that really like is evocative of a bizarre alien culture, or possibly some sort of machine that has like Renovant machine. I've got so many questions around this. I want to know more about it. I want to know everything about the universe it's in. I don't know anything about it at all. But you have that kind of element that you've got storytelling in the model, creates a whole world around it that draws you in so much. And I think this is he's absolutely nailed what he was going about. I love it so much. Adgar Miniatures has created probably the best representation of a Lovecraftian horror from the deep that I've ever seen. This model deserves so much more attention than it got. I don't understand why the algorithm like hid it from everyone, because it is bonkers, like fantastic, so well made, so well painted, beautiful kit bash. Really just it's one of those things you want to break into somebody's house, knock them over the head so they don't remember where you've been there, steal their models, and it's that kind of thing. It's also the kind of model where you see it and you go, oh brilliant, okay, I never have to create anything like that. That's an avenue which I never have to go down, because this guy has completely nailed it. 100% amazing. Greenwood Minis specializes in kind of very individual small kit bashes, all that have tons of flavor, uses an awful lot of like third party and like different gaming systems that I have no idea what they are, so I'm always kind of surprised, interested and intrigued by his creations. Painted immaculately as well. I really like the contrast in this between the metal, the pink and the yellow, not usually colours that people will associate with creating models that have like any sort of sense of threat. It's like funny and goofy looking, but also like alien enough. Actually does have like a sort of odd feeling of uncanny menace to it. You might disagree, I don't know. LEADEN paints with the best doggo. What 40k dog could you have? You could have a dog that is basically the servo dog and who's got some sort of las gun attached to the back of it. Brilliant. Send that off. Who needs Boston Dynamics when you can just get a dog, rip out its brain, replace it with something else, or maybe keep the brain, just like rip out the bit, I don't know, it rips out some part of it, creates some like horrible thing. Dogs in the 41st millennia or 42nd millennia are probably really, really disturbing. Blast from the past with Warhammer 40k Frankenberg. Beautifully painted. I keep saying beautifully painted, but here really have nailed it on the head. There's something about the rune that is absolutely magnetic. It's very difficult to not look at that with just awe at like how perfect he's captured the sense of otherworldly alienness. There's a spirit, there's something like wedged in there that's trying to get out. Amazing work. Like, I think that this is a particular model where I just never attempted to make a Spirit Seer. I've never attempted to make a Wraith Seer based on this model, because I'm not going to capture it as well as this guy has. Armies on Parade always slightly terrify me because they're always so precise, which is really, I mean, beautiful, but it's just not necessarily my skill. Love this, like what are they called? Evil Sun Gobbos, Goblin Sun Boys, Squig Goblins, something like that. Each one looks beautiful, hysterical, really loads of fun. I love the moon on top of the little weird creepy mountain, just beautiful. Just so much, like sometimes I think orcs and goblins have got the real kind of pure joy factor to them. There's something amazing, like I've never met a bad player of them as well, so great stuff. Doom Whip making his homebrew chapter something akin to a Sanguinor. but much more disturbing. Probably similar to how the Sanguinor actually appears in the books. A real force of death that levitating across the battlefield. It's brutally terrifying. There's nothing ludicrous about it. It is just death incarnate. Love the double wing. Always a big fan of like multi-arms or multiple limbs, because I think it looks more unusual and captures something ethereal or weird of the warp. So, you know, you see this coming towards you. Is it a demon? Is it an Emperor's demon? Is it something else? Is it some manifestation of some horrible, horrific thing? Either way, you're in trouble. And straight on to an actual representation of death. Magus Nexpo with this mind-blowingly good model. Like, you look at it and you just think, like, great OSL, lovely metallic reflection on the blade, really interesting use of colour as well. Something that you see from a distance, you think, oh, it's a painting, and then you realise, like, actually somebody's made a three-dimensional model of it. Narek miniatures, I love this. It's lovely use of like violent purple rather than kind of traditional flame colours. Makes it much more interesting than just doing like a boring old flame. Lovely use of the video as well to just show like how from every single angle the object lights, the lighting effect just looks perfect. Brilliant work. Asriel .. Little things face MG. Not sure how I meant to say that, but I gave it a good go. Grey Knight here, Grey Knight in Terminator armor with like astonishingly big axe. Reminds me a lot of the classic Grey Knights, those little pewter ones that I spent hours looking at in Citadel catalogues. You've captured the nostalgia, which I think is a huge thing in modelling. Like if you nail that feeling of it's a model it looks like a model from your childhood, then you really you get something great. Matush Ringo, this is my favourite Celestine. I've not seen it, but I've seen some wings painted more like hyper real or something, but like even so, this is just the best Celestine that I've ever seen. You know, it captures the lore with their endless skulls that she goes back to whenever she's killed, captures her like infinite lives as well with the paint job, the swords, the kind of galaxy wings. I'd love to use this on the tabletop. You can really see that it would just appear, dominate the space, easily get shot in the head. It's purely modelled for disadvantage, and I absolutely love that. Xeon Alive makes very cool little robots. I don't know where any of them are from. I think they're all kind of like weird Japanese games. I know this thing, its body like lifts up and then has a little pilot inside, so it's a mech. It's super funny. I love how like friendly it is, but also the kind of faded Orthway sign on it really gives it kind of an extra bit of like ancient technology that's been dug up and repurposed for whatever nefarious or potentially friendly and cleaning needs. Now here is the other really expensive plastic hobby. Astropunk has made something out of Lego. It looks cool. It looks super cool. I think it's Lego. Yeah, it is Lego. Okay, it is Lego. It's just some bits in there I don't recognise because I stopped playing Lego not that long ago. But it's so clearly a spaceship, but a spaceship based around like what spaceships should actually look like rather than kind of 70s jet fighters. So very clever, interesting use of bricks, I think there. I'd love to get more into Lego, but I don't have any space. As you can tell, I'm doing this in my bedroom, so I don't have any space at the moment. But one day, when I do have space, I'd love to make something like that because that is cool as all hell. I've got another one by Magus Nexpo here. Occasionally put two in. And I've done this because it is a model of Euphrates Keeler, which I have not seen anyone do before. The most important figure probably in, one of the most important figures in 40k history. It's her fault. Is it her fault? Maybe it's all her fault. I think it's her fault. Misery Minis posted this on the day I was doing Share the Hobby Love. Really interesting use of colour. I like the contrast between the geodesic head and crystals and painterly style of doing the skin as well. their models keep getting better and better. Really interesting to check out, see what they do in the future. I think it's going to be one of the more interesting, or maybe even the most interesting, Harlequin armies of all time. The great named Herod 1204. No idea where this model is from. It's cool. It's just like a friendly little robot, but possibly also some horrible reclamation scavenger that's going to do, you know, ruin your entire world. Like really nice. There's very, very subtle changes on its like pincer legs, where you've just got like a tiny bit of dust. Rather than going super heavy on blotching the Mars dust all over it, you could just see there's some tiny bits in the joints as well. Like very subtle and cool. Mayhem miniature painting is wild. It's so wild. The paint job on it, I look at it and I like think, oh, that must have been, you know, quarter paint jobs on Space Marines are legendarily like difficult to do. Gilliman's not the easiest model to paint to this sort of standard either. Love the little rainbow shoulder pad as well. Like if you don't, you can obviously get in the sea. Super cool, bizarre. There's something about the horror of its face as well. Almost like you paint corpse faces when you're first kind of setting out, but somehow looks more real and more dead. Yeah, I love this model. Also, I just noticed the kind of like the transition on the little corner of the shoulder pad of the eagle shoulder pad. Brilliant work there. The Clone Lord, the guy himself, one of those like MVPs that could change everything in the entire universe and no one could do anything about it, and that would be, you know, suddenly. I think GW keep these kind of characters as almost like backup, so that at some point they could just start an entire narrative if everything runs out or goes really badly wrong. So, you know, Fabius Bile, he's such a cool character. This new model of his is just like, would you think you could capture the sense of planet murdering level of arrogance, the kind of arrogance where you defy the Chaos Gods despite being continuously killed by them, just by like sheer kind of self-belief. Cool, you know, character's amazing fun. I love this kind of combination of model. Really interesting use of like the snow base as well. Like, looks really great. M. Roach here doing some sort of Necron thing. I'm not really very good at the Necron names. Lovely sort of, you know, you've got the blues, you've got the greens, you've got the metallics there as well. Super clean. Just that little bit of like yellow edge highlighting on the face, and like the lenses really balances the lens with the like shine off its glinting head thing. It looks cute. You probably didn't want to have one turn up, but if it did, you'd want to make friends of it and like have it like win all the dynasty back for you. Win the dynasty back. Rosaha? I'm really sorry, mate, I can't say your name. Very cool use of colour here. There's something like epic about these models. You could see them swimming to the doom of many other like less immortal races. But I wanted to get as many of his different models in as once. There's something about each individual piece that fits together so nicely, especially kind of the bases, and you've got them like breaching onto the sand, like inspired. Angus 1913. Super happy that this guy reached out to me and started to send me pictures of his models. It's been great seeing like his progress coming along and like how he's getting more passionate about the hobby as he goes as well. These models are very, very cool. I think you can't really get much more 40k than Black Templars, and the sort of the Templar kits with all the extra bits and colour, like all the extra bits and details, just make these look kind of like the Templars that you imagined as a kid. I've like got a super feeling of nostalgia for this kit, and I'm really excited to see what this guy does in the future. Okay, Shadowfire 6117. I've seen lots of Magos kit bashes, and actually like I've made some myself. Something that is very cool. Everyone tends to go the size route, and I'm guilty of this myself, building up and making something as big as possible. Here you've really got something a lot more disturbing on the basis that it's almost like it's inhuman and kind of slithery. Very low profile to the base, slithering legs behind it. Like I think the horror of Admech comes, and you can capture it well, when they've violated the flesh to such a degree that actually they're kind of like parodies of human beings. And I like it when people lean into their bizarreness. I think in like some of the text as well, you've got characters coming across Admech creatures and being so like human characters and being like utterly disturbed by them because they look so wrong, and they are like all virtually heresy. Okay, so here is here is Shadowfire 6117s from a different angle, so you can see that kind of robotic body coming out of the base of it, and the sort of the loose cables. You know, there's nothing grand about this. It is an abomination. Like whatever the Admechs might say, and whatever Admech players might say, the flesh might be weak, but what you've done is wrong. We've got the very intensely named I should be better at painting by now, which is savage. I think anyone who paints with that level of detail or like writing all the scroll work doesn't really have to worry about something. I like this. I really like the sister battle colours that you've used, kind of yellow armour with cream robes on top. Pretty brave. It's not something that I would attempt doing. You know, you've got yellow, which is hard to paint. You've got cream that's a bit of a nightmare as well. With the two of them together, I think work really well. It gives you an unusual scheme, makes your model stand out because it is unique, and yeah, cool work. Can't wait to see some more. I really like miniature photography, and something that I'm going to be working on is a series of videos about how to do miniature photography, and here you've got somebody who has nailed it. So you've got two characters here. There's some sort of like, I don't know, there's some sort of Chaos Marine. I don't know anything about Chaos Marines, but you've got a lovely touch here where they look like they're interacting with each other. The other thing is you've got a really low profile to the shot, so you're looking at them very slightly from above and at an angle, but it just kind of humanizes them and makes the models look more real. And I think this is definitely a technique that I want to experiment with more in the future. I think these are hysterical, and I love the idea that they're just basically telling each other horrible jokes about murdering people. That's Joseph JRL. Something very different here. This is Banhouse Miniatures. One of those... I'm a little bit speechless here because I hate that he thought of this and I didn't think of it. I really like using things that aren't models to make models, and I cannot believe I didn't think of using one of these seeds as a wing. It's completely inspired. You get these all over the UK, like around autumn. What are they called? Helicopter seeds? Oh, that's what I called them. I would love to see this. I'd love to see this like once it's painted, like photographed on some trees or in amongst those leaves. I love those sort of like odd vignettes about forest life coming to life, or there's a film out about a living shell at the moment that looks amazing. This is, for me, my modelling goals, like, is to come up with stuff that's as inspired as this. This is a difficult one for me because I hate dreadnoughts, especially Leviathans and Contemptor dreadnoughts. My friend plays Blood Angels. He's a penis. It's this work, something that really annoys me. Yeah, I just kind of want to kill it. At the same time, it is stunningly painted, and so I sort of forgive you on the basis of the fact that it's stunningly painted. There is something about Blood Angels that like hurts my soul because they are my most regular opponent, but I do love them in lore, and this is cracking. That's hard salad paints. Next, you've got Unai Paints Minis. Really inspired idea. Melted candles on the top of Dark Angels aggressors, flaming eyes. They're going to be burning stuff. They would have candles as well. There's no one more extra than the Dark Angels. Witch Cult. I'm going to say Witch Cult today, although it's a V, so I might be wrong. Gross, super cool, super disturbing. I think this is a Smash Bash one, so you know, props for that as well, because it is very cool. Really like this like Hessian like matte material on top of the gross maggot thing. I wouldn't want this in my house because I don't like maggots, but it's so cool. Like very nice model, mate. Setsuo, which I always assume is from Tetsuo, but I haven't actually asked, so I probably should ask them. I chose this because they've got some cooler models with some great power swords. This one, the power sword might be a bit plainer. It is just, I don't even remember, I think there's I don't know what these models are called, but I just thought really very clever use of the base. The Katarina, there's like a pattern on it as well, reminds me of like folk art furnitures and sort of Eastern European like marriage chests. Don't know where they got the idea from, but very cool. Very clever. Kai Bonrai. So, Exodite Dragon Rider. Do I even need to say anything about it? I don't even know if I do. Like, look how cool it is. Using the new Elder kits, you've got Shining Spears in there, and I think something from the Scouts, the new Rangers as well, gives you like a lot more flexibility than the old kits did. It is just amazing to be an Eldar player at the moment because of the cool stuff that you can build. Never know where those dino mounts are from. If anyone knows, I'm assuming there's some sort of Seraphon. Can't wait to see this painted because it is cool. When you can make models like this, why would GW ever release Exodites? Which is sad. It is sad. I cast Fire Breath. Well, you definitely do. I suck at OSL and I'd like to get better, and you can see this is a great example of multiple tones. You've got the tentacles riding out of the flame as well. I think like almost a kind of like Hellraiser aspect of this. I love that Sisters model. Really cool reflections from all the different kind of like colours on them. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Really fun composition actually as well. I think I like pivoting, like tilting things slightly off the base so that you've got more space. Incredibly impractical to use, but ends up looking amazing. Red Star 40k, big friend of mine, great modeler. Great things about bubbleheads. So if you don't know, bubblehead 40k or bubblehead 28 is a great hashtag for people who like modeling bubble heads on their models. Here is a fantastic example of them. He's managed to create such incredible feeling through the way the models are laid out. I really love every single part of it. I think there's something about them that they're just so cool. Like, I don't know why bubbleheads just like fires my imagination, but you know, you've got an incredible scene here. It feels like straight out of Alien. Probably one of them is like some horrible thing and they don't know it yet. They're soon to find out. Lovely use of the background as well to like give the characters, give them more depth, and you can see where the reflections bounce off each of them. Warhammer 40k, very cool model. I looked at all of the Cursed City models when they were being released and thought, I'll get all of those, kitbash them into interesting things, and then there was all the debacle with that coming out. So I thought it's going to end up being so expensive, I'm just not going to think about these. And it's really been really cool to see it trickling out, people getting hold of them, and you know, taking models that are rare and then making something that is this cool out of them. So you know, it's quite simple replacement with a bolt pistol and the Sisters sepulchre thing in the background creates like an instant cool Inquisitor character. Really love that kitbash. Great work. Clem Paint Stuff, as you can see from the Clem Paint Stuff logo, which good idea to have a logo. Okay, it's a great idea. This is cool, like beautifully painted. This is cool. You can see how many different tones there are in the hair to give it that like honey blonde effect. I like how hyper real it is with the mixture of like skin tones, blush on the cheek, and those beautiful like blue eyes. Obviously match really work nicely with the cloak as well. I think this is a bust size. I've not seen the model before, but props man, like painting skills, wow. Mouse Killer miniatures, and here we have Agrax the Bloody Champion of Khorne, or Agrax the Bloody Champion of Khorne, depending on if you want to ignore the apostrophe or not. Like, really cool, super cool that it's done this kind of mixed page of model shots. So you've got all these different angles from it, so you can see every kind of bit of it. And interesting to see as well how much lighting affects your model. You know, you've obviously got much kind of warmer light in some of them, so that really like the yellows kind of like come out a huge amount, but then when it's a harsher light, it looks much more metallic as well. So you can see there's kind of two approaches to it, that actually the model isn't the end of painting. The lighting, how you take pictures of it, can make a huge difference to it, but when it's this quality, does it even matter? I would look at this model in any kind of light. Yeah, cool work, mate. Cathodique Smash Bash entry, composition here, like off the chain. Love how like it arches up, defies gravity, and then you have this odd figure on top. Is he preaching? What weird things is he preaching and singing here? Is he bringing the stuff to life? Is it part of it? There's so many questions I have about this model, and I probably should just reach out and ask them. Again, just like Smash Bash alumni, the best modelers. Grimdark Gravis guy, killing it, like absolutely killing it. Perfect moment captured. You've got the huge explosion, got all these different colours. Helldrake is screaming, everything's exploding, everyone's in loads of trouble. You've got multiple different OSL in different colours in different areas. Genius. I don't know how you go about creating something like that. I would love to know. So, yeah, stunning. Monster Box Miniatures here, which is a miniature like sculpting company. So you can buy this one. Again, they don't sponsor me, but you know. Super cool, like so organic and fleshy. Reminds me kind of Akira, like the moment where he's starting to expand and and losing all control over his biological matter. So you've got these like tiny bits of metallic and like knee joints. Imagine the pistons still going in those, and yet all around it is organic, swollen, blotchy matter. Paint job is just wild as well. So yeah, just wild. Like, I'd love that. I'd love that. Steve's Satisfactory Miniatures. Great name. I don't think they're satisfactory at all. I think they're brilliant. So, this is cool. Is the new Autark modeled with the Reaper launcher and the glaive, or maybe the chainsaw. Can't quite saw at that angle. Probably the best helmet release for Elder in a really long time. Beautifully, very precise painting there. Like nice highlighting with just giving like the hints of the slightly brighter red that there is that everyone uses for Elder. Nice crisp white on the helmet as well, giving it that sense of contrast. Yeah, cool, mate. Not satisfactory. Good. Great. Joshi Creations. She's got so much attitude. Does not give anything about anything. Cool. Like making pink armor like fit a model and not make it look garish. It's quite a skill. The painting here is fantastic. It's so crisp and clear. The face is just wonderful. You just kind of focus right in on it straight away. Yeah, this model's amazing. Captain Power 666. I was obviously on like a real trip for kind of grimed up metallic greens. Love this, looks fantastic. Rust patterns all around it, lots of earth. There's lots of earthful things. You can imagine it kind of like hoofing it along in an invasion of some place. It's cool. It's really cool. This is Jai Ernest 5891. Cool name. He's a great photographer, and you can really see like how you can take pictures of miniatures to give them a sense of scale and weight and depth. This is very obviously the Hulk, very small, but really creates that kind of like amazing image composition. Very cool photography, worth checking out. So here we have Champion of Terror. He has some of my all-time favorite kit bashes, hands down. I love his weird horse with hands coming out of the its head. And this is a great corrupted Wraith Knight. Face looks just super disturbing with all the like chaos goop coming out of it. I love Wraith Knight kit bashes, and this one is absolutely cracking. Melly RNO, very cool collection of clown goblins. Big fan of Kegarak, so big fan of clowns, big fan of goblins. These are all super disturbing. I don't know where the models are from, but oh my god, they're horrifying. So yeah, great work. Sir Shaw, purple Necrons, not necessarily, well, I think often like the Catan parts of them, the phase blades are purple, but here he's gone very much the metal itself. Looks very peculiar, super odd, captures the alien weirdness of it, beautifully painted, like just so a joy to look at every single section of it. Aberos Pinter, maybe my favourite painter of all time, not 100% sure, but yeah, pretty close. Lovely bloke as well. His Eldar are just beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. Letting me in with some tips on like how he's using his colours. I copied his gem recipe, I copied his diamond recipe, both to like much less effect than he uses on his Harlequins. These are beautiful. I love Eldrad, he's a boss. This particular version of Eldrad, nice kit bash without the helmet, beautiful base, colours on the different robe. It just shifts. It's like it captures that kind of shifting light that you imagine the Eldari possess the entire time. Finishing on some slightly creepy points. Well, this may be underselling it. Dark Isle, so disturbing as anything. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Do you want to carry on looking at it? I want to carry on looking at it. It's magnetic, beautiful. maybe slightly erotic, just monstrous. And I chose him again because this weird multi-armed legged baby faced thing is haunting. I've seen a couple different versions of it. This one, well, no, I've seen a couple of different paint jobs with it. Well, there's lots of photos of it with different stages of paint job, and this point is really just perfect. So creepy. It haunts my dreams. And we're going to finish with Cry for Paint and one of his works in progress. He is an amazing gene stealer maker of gene stealer things, and it's always bugging me to make gene stealers, but I'm never going to do it because his gene stealers are so good. So why would I when his work is this great? I'm really excited to see where this project goes. Lots of very interesting textures and different materials. Yeah, just gone wild on this, and it looks amazing. I cannot wait to see more. Cool. Okay, so yeah, so that's all of the entries for Hobby Love. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going to do it again in November, so you can see on my Instagram. You can just join in. All you need to do is react to the post. It's usually on the first few days of the month. I tend to carry it out when I'm free. So yeah, you could join in, have your model spotlighted and spotlit, and I will be doing a lot more videos in the future. So yeah, carry on watching, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and see some ridiculous and giant models. But thank you very much. This is really to try and get me used to making videos so that I can spend less time agonizing about it and more time just creating some nice interesting content that will help me potentially fund some of the bigger crazier ideas I have, because I've got some big crazy ideas. I want to send a model to space. I want to build a 4-poster bed with giant things coming down from it. I want to build a gaming table that is an Warhammer Artists, so the table itself is basically just a platform on the back of it, and like the rest of it is a bit like a giant toy, like child's toy. What else do I want to build? I want to build all of the Primarch standing on a giant Aquila. There's so much stuff I want to build, and yeah, the more people I can get involved and the more things that I can do, then it's going to work out really well, and I'm going to spend all my time hobbying and making cool shit. So okay, cool. And in the next few months, I should hopefully finish the Coronation of Guilliman by Christmas. So yeah, thank you very much.